Hello, and welcome back to the Lightkeeper's Path. I'm Kimberly Catherine, and aloha. I'm here from Hawaii. I've got kind of sand all over, and definitely raw and real on this one. Yeah. Week 2 of being raw and real. I'm having a beautiful trip with my daughter. We have lots to celebrate. She's going to be going off to 4-year college in about 3 weeks. And we've just done so much internal healing, and it's been such a beautiful trip. So I was going to record before I left town, and then I told my VA, sorry, it's not happening. I'm going to just do it when I'm where I land. And so that here I am. And it's actually perfect because I had a couple different ideas of what I was going to talk about with you. But when we checked in, we realized we did not know they had marathon weekend. So there's all these runners in town. So fun. I've talked to you a little bit about running and how it's been so pivotal in my healing process. It was step one for me getting back to who I am. So I thought, oh, isn't that interesting? The universe is dropping us in the weekend of the marathon. And we've met so many fun runners. And 2 nights ago, we met these two lovely ladies. Shout out to Debbie and Bernadette because they did Bernadette, this is her birthday. Happy birthday. She did her 49th marathon on her 49th birthday, which is today. I'm so excited to have met those two. And then our good friend Debbie, shout out Debbie, did that half marathon, and she'd never done a race before, although she's a runner. So woohoo! Here comes the confetti. So I mentioned those two because when we were in the hot tub, I had a great conversation with Bernadette. We were talking about running, and they're like, oh gosh, that's so fun. I'd love to do it. And they're saying, hey, why don't you go ahead and sign up? You can still sign up. Go to the expo. It's beautiful. It's a great expo. Go sign up. So I started thinking, oh my gosh, I love those little last minute fun challenges, especially when I was in kind of fight or flight. I would always do, let's do these last minute things. And I started thinking about it. And I thought, well, I do have a pair of running shoes, not my good running shoes, but I could wing it. I do have some leggings with me. So we went to the expo. It was beautiful. We were tired. And I thought, maybe not. But in the hot tub, let's go back there. I was talking to Bernadette about running. And I told her, I said, it's interesting because I was running. I started running again. And it was to get me out of fight or flight when my nervous system was always on. And it was my time of solace, I said. And I was listening to a podcaster recently. And she said, most runners have trauma. And I mentioned to that her, and I barely even finished my sentence. She knew exactly. I couldn't even believe it. She said to me, she goes, yeah, you know what, Kim? She goes, if I don't go running during the day, oh my gosh, I'm a mess. My whole family knows it. Wow. I said to her, well, let me tell you, I know what you can do to get out of that because I did it. I did the deep healing. I did the deep somatic healing, and I know how to do that. I can help you. And she said to me, she goes, oh my gosh. She goes, I couldn't even believe it. I can't even imagine life without that. Like being on the other side so I don't have to run to get through the day. So, wow. And it was so interesting because I go, wow, that is like so beautiful. I mean, she was such a lovely lady, so nice. We've seen them a couple times. We just saw them. They were in the jacuzzi and, celebrating finishing the marathon and the half marathon. But I just felt like so grateful for all the deep work I've done to get to the point where running is just a different thing now for me. It's not the escape. It's not I have to do this. It's such an interesting place to be in because I was actually considering going, that would be fun to, in a year, come back and do the half marathon. It's such a beautiful race. Everybody's so forgiving here. It's relaxed. It's pretty chill, although the heat and the humidity, and there's some elevation that's supposed to be a little bit, kind of a killer. But, you know, mind over matter, you can do anything if you put your head to it. And then I was checking out other ones, Monterey, Big Sur. Start to go down the deep dive. I'm like, okay, reel it back in, reel it back in. But I just thought that was so interesting how the marathon was here this weekend when we're here. I've met some other really lovely people who are doing the marathon. And then we were sitting at the pool and the people were finishing the marathon. So, that it's literally probably a 5-minute walk from here from where we're staying. And they would walk by and it's like 6 super fun people in front of us in their lounge chairs. And they'd walk by and they'd start clapping, I was like, "Woohoo!" So fun. And we went over to the finish line. I went twice. I went this morning, and it's probably about 2 hours and 20 minutes into the race. So there were the marathon winner hadn't come by yet. He was at like 2 hours and I think 43 minutes. But it was the half marathoners. And it was just so fun to walk around where, after where you go get the hot coffee. Like you really want a hot coffee in the heat. Although I do love coffee after I run. Or you get the coconut water, which sounds kind of yummy. And then they had the Red Cross tent and more tchotchkes and stuff that you can buy and more freebies and fruit. But it's so fun. I just, there is something about runners. There's just I don't know what it is. I just love being in that element. I felt really good kind of walking around and seeing all those people and then you see somebody who's got their medal on. Oh, that's another funny story. You see somebody who's got their medal on, you're like, cheering them on. So these two great ladies, they're so fun. One of them, the one who did the half marathon, she said, the thing is, what she learned, this was the other reason why I seriously said, I don't think I'm going to do it. She said, if you don't finish, you get I think it's DNF. I didn't even know what that meant. DNF. I don't know if it's like a sticker on you or something, but it did not finish. And you don't get the medal. Well, no, thank you. It's not even so much the fee. At least I want the frickin' medal, even if I didn't completely finish. But you figured it out. You have 7 hours. 7 hours to do, what's it, 13.1 miles. I mean, I was going down to how long would that take? She did pretty well. I think she did it in 2 hours and 45 minutes, which is, I think, roughly 11-minute mile. I don't know. If my math is wrong, please don't, whatever. Because I was trying to go, do if I did do that, what would the timing be? But anyway, so fun, so fun. And just, back to just like how critical it is to drop out and, a little tangent from the running thing, but the water is so therapeutic. I've talked about that before with the ocean. So we're sleeping with the slider open, and the ocean here is just flashing. Oh my gosh, it's just whew, so powerful, so powerful. It's just it's so good just to be there to drop down and really be with nature. Here, you can just walk out the door and you're with nature. And I've talked about birds before also with how they can also help your nervous system and your vagus nerve and all that. Oh my gosh, the birds here are great. They're everywhere. All kinds of birds. And then anybody who's been to this island knows the chicken story. Chickens everywhere, except for the resort where we're staying. They must do something to keep the chickens out because there are no chickens on this entire resort. But the chickens are hysterical. So I guess it was 92. There was some big hurricane and, it did a lot of destruction. Got the coops. So they opened the coops and the chickens went kind of wild and they're all over the island. They're everywhere. They're even at 4,200 elevation because we were up at the canyon yesterday and we saw chickens up there. We were saying, how did the chickens get up 4,200 elevation. Did they walk up there? Because, here we're at 0. We're at, the ocean. So funny. Oh my gosh. And, just all the beautiful smells. The humidity is not as bad and crazy as I kind of thought it would be, but it may be different parts of the island. Yeah. So just such a beautiful, beautiful trip. Another, I talk about meditation and how that can also be a part of your healing process. Well, if you're watching on YouTube, you see I have this lovely lei on. Isn't this beautiful? Well, I made this. They had a lei making class. So fun. So fun. So I'm sitting there. They have the needle. They show you how to thread the needle. If you're right hand dominant, you hold the needle in your left hand and you put the flower on with your dominant hand, which is my right hand. You put it in, you string it down. Did that for about 45 minutes and I'm like, oh, it's like such a nice meditation. Oh, I love this. I've purchased these, actually the exact same leis. I can't remember the name of this flower. Can't remember. She said it. Oh, orchids. These are orchids. So I've purchased this exact same type of lei for my daughter when she graduated from high school and then again community college. And I was thinking, ooh, 2 years. Maybe I'll have a lei making party and make her lei as opposed to going to the local grocery store and ordering and purchasing it. Although that's easier, faster. But this is kind of fun because it's super easy and they last about 2 or 3 days. And we could do it with a couple other people and have a lei making party. And it's meditative. So that just kind of goes down to, again, when we're trying to heal, the whole thing is when you're trying to heal yourself, whether it's body, mind, or spirit, it all comes down to calming your nervous system. And, it's the simplest things. Like I've said before, my beginning was meditation to quiet my mind. And then I added more and then I added more. Well, running first and then the meditation. And then I got into the deep somatic and then the really deep somatic. But it's all about becoming present because when you're present, all the gifts are right there. All of the gifts. And the universe tells us messages all the time. So interesting. On this trip, I was telling my current somatic coach, shout out Christy, that I said, it's so interesting. I said, on this trip, I'm really, I'll think of something like a question or something. And the person literally within 15 seconds answers what my question is, or they say something in regards to what I'm saying. It's happening like constantly. And she said, oh, yeah, that happens to me all the time, which is like so amazing. I'm not really sure where I was going with that, but I think it's just going back to it's going back to being present and being so connected. I was at the pool today and there was so much going on. Oh my gosh. It was so funny. You all will relate to this. There's this beautiful pool. There's this woman in the pool on one of the steps. She's on her phone and she's talking to somebody who's obviously, like on the mainland, giving them directions on something to order. I guess it was something she needed to fix in her house. It didn't really matter. But going down to the nth degree of, well, then you can buy it on Amazon and da 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 da. And I didn't really care. It's like, whatever. Okay. I mean, like, you're in freaking paradise here, but and maybe it's a crisis. No judgment there. Zero judgment. Just, it's kind of funny. And then in front of us, we have this fun crew of I don't want to say older because they could be my same age. I have no idea. But one of them has some music on that's a little bit loud and, they're having fun conversation. And then you have the kids, yelling and screaming. And then you have the beautiful ocean. And, I was like, wow, how do I block all out this noise? getting back to being present. So I just shut my eyes and I just went really within. I did some breath work, breathing in, breathing out, not necessarily box breath, and really, really, really went within. I was kind of testing because I'm like, this could be a real tester. Can you really become present with so much noise around you? Now, granted, the ocean is not noise, very therapeutic, but there was a lot of bustling, and I was able to. I was able to really, you know, close my eyes, breathe in, and shut out all the noise. And I kind of say that because we can really do that anywhere. I think the key is you have to know what that feeling feels like. So when you know what that feeling feels like, you can dip back into it, if that makes sense. And that's kind of coming full circle on how important it is to have your cleansing slash spiritual slash, whatever you want to say, ritual. I strayed off for a bit, but I've been very, very diligent in the morning. I meditate, doing this new app, which I love, 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 love. They're short, but it's called Open, Shadow Open. I love them. They're very, very current. I also like Insight Timer. Those are very good. It's very different. But I do that. They're kind of short, just kind of sets my day. And then I meditate and I put my intention for the day. And it's been so interesting. I never really understood what they say. What is your intention? But it really is powerful. But again, it's all about kind of being in alignment, and then everything is really powerful. Because I've set some intentions during this, trip, and whew, they've really come true. It's really, really powerful. And then, yeah, so I meditate and then I journal. And then, it kind of sets your day. But again, just kind of coming full circle of how it's just like brushing your teeth. It's just really seriously like brushing your teeth. But anyway, a little sideline. I just wanted to say hello to everybody on vacation. So fun. And, we don't have to get on an airplane or a car ride or a train to be on vacation. You can make a simple lay at home. In fact, I think I may do that. Maybe I'll try it out and do a Zoom on and show my next lay, but it'll be the one I made at home because you can use any type of flower. The lady was funny when she was teaching the class. She said, yeah, just don't use big flowers. Don't use hydrangea. And I thought, hydrangea, where could you even that's like a interesting kind of bulb flower. That's not even. So, but you can really you can do a stay vacation, go for a picnic, be really creative. Doesn't have to cost you any money. And if it's like, yeah, but I don't even live near a beach. I don't live near this. Look, hey, you know what? You can put that all right here in your brain. You could go to a playground and go on the swings and do a fun little picnic and do child stuff. Could make mud pies. Oh my gosh, I love mud pies. Oh, I did a reel on mud pies on my Instagram account, and that was one of the biggest hits. And I used to do mud pies all the time as a kid. But anyway, so fun. So fun to see everybody. I want to thank you for following me and sticking around, keeping it real, keeping it fun. It's all about finding that light within us and following that path. So thank you again. Shout out to everybody for making it through and make it a beautiful day. Aloha.